In the last video, I introduced you to using PHP as a HTML document in order to allow you to call up a scripts. And in the example I used, I had it pull up the date by using a simple code to call for the date. Now that was in the index.php. When I had duplicate code in the index.html, it didn't work. So the important part of that was that you have to have a extension of PHP in order to use the PHP code. So let's get that out of the way and let's look at the format that you need to use. So in a PHP code, it starts with the less than question mark PHP, and then it closes with the question mark greater than sign, and then everything within that is going to be the PHP code. Now what you see in here at the moment is a comment, so // and then whatever's on that same line becomes a comment. Now there's other formats for doing multiple line comments, but we're not going to go into that today, because what we want to do is we want to start understanding how we can use a PHP set of code in order to bring a set of content into our page using the include. So the way that works is that there is a PHP command called include, and then what you do is you type the include, and then you have to put within single brackets the file name, and then you have to close it with the semicolon. So you always have to close a PHP line with the semicolon. So you need to make sure that you always do that, or it won't work, because that's its way of knowing that, hey, this is the end of this line of code. So in this case, if I had a file that I wanted to include called file name, it would go in, it would get that. But right now I don't have any files for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly create a new PHP, it's an HTML document. It can use either the HTML or the PHP code to use it as an include. I'm going to go ahead and create one, and then we'll come back. Now there's something to understand here. When you're using an include, what it's going to do is, and I've got a blank HTML document here. You know, it's got the basic elements that have to be in an HTML document. When you're using an include, it's taking that code from that document and it's pasting it into the middle of another document. So you don't need the doc type, you don't need the HTML head and body tags. And so let's just go ahead and get rid of those. So we're really starting with just a snippet of HTML code that we're going to use here. So to get us started here, I'm just going to add a basic set of code that will pull in my name as a heading level 1. So I'm going to go ahead and save this as I'm going to save it in the same folder, and I'm going to just give it a name.php. Saving it in the same folder that I'm working on. And then what I want to do is I want to come back into this document that I'm working on, and I've got the PHP code here for an include and the generic file name.php. Well, the file name that I'm going to be using is name.php. So I'm going to do that, and that points to that file name.php that I just inserted the h1 of my name into. Now the next thing I need to do is save this document, and I'm going to save it into the same folder. And I'm going to call it my name. Okay, now I need to, whatever software you're in, you need to save these files and move them up to the server. The students in my class and I myself don't have PHP installed on our computers that we're working on. Rather, we've got a server that is up on the web, and that has PHP. So we need to go ahead and synchronize those files all up. We just changed my name and name.php, so I'm going to move those up, and again, whatever software you have, you'll use that. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to pull up that document. So I come in here, and since it's in the same folder, I can just do myname.php, press that, and there it is. So even though when I pull up myname.php, it's got this code in there, what it has done is it's gone out to the server and it has included this. So if I go into this document and I view my page source, it actually has that H1 in there. So it doesn't send the PHP code to the browser. What it does is it executes that code on the PHP server, and then it renders that in, sends that information to the browser, where the browser then renders that. So it's as if this code were a part of this page. That's what's sent off. So the rest of that is done in a place that's not visible to the end user, and that's really important because it allows you to do things that they never actually see the code of that PHP document. They only see the result of how it's rendered after the server puts all the pieces and parts together, and that's how this H1 ends up inside of the document that we're looking at. And that's a very important thing to understand about PHP. Now, if this file lived in a different folder, this would not have worked. So you need to understand a number of things about the different paths, and we're going to go into that in the next video. There's a couple of different kinds of paths you need to understand, and we'll cover those in the next video.